Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hopefully, you can hear and see me okay. Thank you very much for joining us on this sunny afternoon here in London, if you are in London or the UK. And thank you for joining us for this virtual Your Overseas Home event and this seminar talking all about buying property overseas in Spain. My name is Sebastian Bampton, and I'm one of the hosts at Your Overseas Home. It's great to have you all with us, whether you're listening in live or on demand. In this seminar, we are joined by three very special guests, and we'll be introducing them to you in just a moment. You'll have the option throughout the whole session to ask questions to our experts around your buying queries over in Spain. Today, we're joined by three trusted partners of Your Overseas Home who we've worked with for a number of years. So we've got Danny Cook joining us from Smart Currency Exchange. Hi, Danny. We've got Sharon from the Spanish estate agent in the Costa del Sol. And then we've got Christina from JLCA, who is a lawyer for anyone buying property over in Spain. This session will be an hour long. So as mentioned, please do pop your questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom. Any questions that you have for each of our experts, we'll try and point them to the relevant expert to answer. If we don't manage to get around to answering all of them throughout this hour-long session, fear not, you can visit the virtual stands. Also, we will pass your details across to each of them after the event, so they will follow up with you and hopefully answer your questions in a bit more detail. If for whatever reason you do miss this session or you'd like to watch it again, we will be recording it, or you'll be able to also share it with friends and family, and it'll be accessible via this platform with VFairs for an extra 30 days after today. So without further ado, I won't take up too much time because we want to hear from the actual experts themselves. Sharon, I'll start with you. Hello, thank you for joining us. It'd be great to, I suppose, if you could just do a quick introduction to yourself and the Spanish estate agent.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much and welcome everyone. My name is Sharon Sharifi. I'm the sales director at the Spanish estate agent. Personally, I have over 24 years experience in real estate here on the Costa del Sol, and all my staff, which I have few, have long experience in real estate as well. We have two offices on the coast, one in Marbella in San Pedro and one in Estepona, which is our main office. But we hope to grow the numbers there. But yeah, we cover the area between Malaga and Gibraltar and inland. We act as a property finder, so we have access to absolutely every single property that there is for sale. And the way we work is we listen to what the client is looking for, and then we go and find that property amongst the listings of our own database and those of other agents. This doesn't cost the client anything extra whatsoever, but it's just the way we work here. We work as part of a network, and it makes the life of the client much easier because they can just deal with one agent, hopefully me, and I'll get on with the job of finding that property for you. And that's really important for me to get across to clients, because we take care of them right from the beginning, during the property search, once you've found a property, and for years afterwards as well. Obviously, we're always there on hand. So that's the way we work and how we are.
Thanks, Sharon. Great to have you with us here again, and thank you for the introduction. Christina, I'll say hello to you and pass across to you. If you wouldn't mind just doing the same, quick introduction to yourself and JLCA, please.
Yeah, of course, I will be super quick. So basically, as Sept said, I'm a Spanish lawyer. I'm based here in London, and I'm part of the GLC lawyers team. So basically, we are Spanish lawyers specialized in Spanish matters. So we can help with all the private clients, with all the legal stuff that we'll need in Spain. So basically, we cover the whole area of the Spanish territory, obviously also the islands and everything, and we can help all the clients proceeding with the convenience matters, but also with the resident or obviously in immigration matters, and obviously they need it and so on. So if you need something in legal matters in Spain, we can help you.
Thank you, Christine. Obviously, great to have you here as well. And I'm sure we've got plenty of questions that will come through from the audience throughout. So thanks very much, Danny. The second time today, my lucky day. If you wouldn't mind giving us a quick intro to yourself and Smart Currency Exchange as well, please.
Yeah, thanks, Seb. Absolutely. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Saturday. So yeah, I'm here representing Smart Currency. I'm one of the account managers here at Smart. So, yeah, we've been around since 2004, helping people manage currency risk for overseas property purchases or relocations. So we've helped over 50,000 people in that time go through the journey that you'll be undertaking here. I myself have worked here for around 5 years now as an account manager. So of course, most of our clients are people who are looking to buy property overseas and therefore will need help managing currency risk in relation to that. We're partnered with, companies like Rightmove and of course, You Overseas Home here to help people who are looking to buy property overseas, and also working closely with, estate agents and solicitors, wealth managers and people like that to, undertake the journey that you're undertaking here.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Danny, and thanks everyone again for joining us. We call these sessions our golden three agents or experts for buying property in Spain, because it's what Your Overseas Home recommends that you speak to in preparation for going across and viewing properties and hopefully finding the perfect one. You are looking to undertake a property purchase overseas, and it's important that you are working with trusted, reputable agents and experts that can help guide you through that process. And I'm happy to say Shirin, Christina and Danny have all been working with us for a number of years and have helped countless numbers of buyers undertake a similar journeys as to what you are looking to do. So thank you all for being here. What we'll do is, as I said, we'll largely kind of go through a question and answer style session. We'll talk to each of our experts in turn. We'll ask questions of them. And as I said, if you have questions that you would like to be asked to the experts, please drop them in at the Q&A session, Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, and we'll put them to the relevant expert. Shirin, we'll start with you again. It'd be great to get a bit of an understanding about, I suppose actually, a good place to start would be, when would be a good time to actually start speaking to an estate agent? I know a lot of people gravitate towards looking for properties first and then everything else follows after suit. Is that the general process, or when would you recommend is a good time to actually start speaking to yourself or the Spanish estate agent?
As early as possible, really. We don't mind at all. As I keep saying, we're here for the long run, and I think people need to understand where they want to be first within Spain, and we kind of funnel that down to areas. Sometimes we're talking to people for a long time before they actually make the move. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for some guidance. They're just looking for someone that they can trust. They're just looking for some good advice and so on. And that's what we're there for. So we talk about the different areas with people first. And the worry that a lot of clients have is, oh my God, I'm going to sell my house in England if they're looking to relocate. I'm going to sell my house in England or wherever, and I'm going to be homeless. So I need to find the property first and then sell. So we do a lot of homework with clients beforehand, right from the beginning. What are the different areas are like? And we work through to the time when they're ready to make the move, and hopefully find the property fairly quickly once they've sold and are ready to buy. In England, it works a little bit differently. You don't know that the property sale has gone through until the last minute, whereas in Spain, we take reservation fees and so on. So we can time that well with people's plans as well. But as far as when do you contact us, as soon as possible, so that we can really guide you right from the beginning.
Oh, okay, thanks, Sharon. I suppose as well, you'll get a better understanding early on about what the client's looking for. And as you said there earlier, you have access to the whole market, and you can go out and find the perfect property for them as well. So yeah, we would advise getting in touch early, having that conversation, and then at least having the connection in place. Sharon, in regards to, I suppose, the market at the moment over in Spain, I know it does change and it does vary from regions and location, but what is the market like over there with you at the moment? Are there sort of bargains out there? There's still good value properties to be had?
There's always bargains, and we always negotiate very hard on our clients' behalf, and that's the beauty of the way we work. Is I'm working for my clients to find the best property I can, and I fight with the other agents on price, on everything, on every matter to benefit my client. The market is very strong. The properties are selling extremely fast. Good properties are selling extremely fast. I'll give you an example. I had a Dutch client coming over who contacted me 3 weeks before she came out, and she was looking for, you know, a villa around the €1 million mark. And we had 12 properties to look at that we decided on when we first got in contact. We plowed through all the different properties, and she decided on 12. Now, in 3 weeks it took her to come down. We were down to just 3 properties of the original list. So yeah, properties are moving very fast if they're good. And when you come down and you look at different properties, you'll realize that there'll be certain ones that stand head and shoulders above the others, and that's obviously where we come in and try to get the best price possible. Yeah, the market's very fast moving at the moment.
Sure, that's interesting. And I suppose in regards to a viewing trip, I know people would like to come across and see areas, see different you know, what different areas of different regions are like, and see if it's for them to potentially purchase there. It's if someone was to come across on a viewing trip with you, Sharon, and you were to tour them properties, would you say that's best done with yourself at the point where they are in a position to put down offers, or would you be happy to kind of have a viewing trip with them, perhaps when they're not in a position to put down offers but are still looking at areas?
We're just happy to make that connection with the clients. You know, we're here to really, as I say, keep saying, we're here to listen to you and to be here for the long term. We're happy to show you around properties, but I do find people, when they're not in a position to reserve, they're heartbroken when they see something they really love and they can't go ahead with it. I've got clients here at the moment, they're renting and waiting for their property to sell in the UK, but they wish they'd never done that now. They wish they'd just done, and you know, because when we look at properties, I showed a property to them, and literally half an hour later I was with another client showing the same property, and it was sold to them. So it's really up to the client. If you're happy to do that and you understand that properties do sell, then obviously it's just a matter of what we show you now. It's not going to be available in a week, let alone months down the line. And if you understand that, then we're happy to show you properties. But for us, when you're not in a position to buy, we mainly try to focus on areas and where the areas that you like, and try to, you know, use and abuse our local knowledge, and then you're in a much more strong position to finally make the move. You know, when you do have the money in place, we're there ready to go, and that's quite attractive for vendors as well when you've got clients that are ready to go.
Yeah, of course. And I have to say, using your local knowledge, you know, most of our listeners here perhaps have been across Spain, but haven't been to the whole area which the Spanish estate agent yourself cover and know so well. So I think having that conversation early, getting an understanding of what they're looking for, at least you can then put forward some suggestions which may match what they're looking for. So yeah, it makes complete sense.
Just one thing in terms of finance as well. If they haven't got their finance in place yet, if they're getting a mortgage, I always ask my clients, please, can I put you in contact with the bank and get you the principal offer before we even start looking at properties? Because if you do need that, and then, you know, we find a property, we make the offer, but it's got to be subject to finance, then vendors often just say, no, go and get your finance first, and I'm going to carry on. So if we're in a strong position where you've got the offer, you know what you can borrow, we know what price we're looking at, I'm not going to waste anybody's time showing them the wrong sorts of properties. The finance is in place. When we come to negotiate, I'm in a very strong position to say, yes, they need a mortgage, but everything's in place already. And of course, that helps with the price as well. We can be more effective. Sorry.
No, so that's actually, you know, really important, and it kind of probably will resonate with a lot of our UK buyers who perhaps bought a property with a mortgage. You know, having that mortgage in principle, so to speak, to then go to an agent and say, I can buy this, I can afford this, and it does give you that leverage in a conversation about negotiation. So yeah, no, really important point. Just I suppose on that note as well, Shem, while we're on this, the fees involved with buying a property over in Spain, are there fees paid to the seller? How does it all work with the fees, and what should people be budgeting for those fees for a property purchase?
So my fees are not for the buyer to worry about. We're paid the other side. As I say, the price you see on a property with me is what you pay with you and what we negotiate. And then on top of that are your buying costs. We have a really, really good buyer's guide that I can send out to anyone that outlines all the different costs. And to be very brief, and Christina will back me up on this. In Andalusia, They've slashed many different taxes to make it as attractive as possible for people to come and live here. And one of the things that they've cut the cost off is the transfer tax on a second-hand property. So when you buy a second-hand property, your transfer tax has gone from either 8, 9, or 10%, depending on the price that you were paying. It was on a sliding scale. It's now a flat rate of 7%. Now, the rest of Spain, or many other parts of Spain, it's 10%. So you're saving 3% there right away. And then on top of that, you've got your legal fees and notary costs, land registry, that sort of thing. So we kind of say on a second-hand property, just to make it easier, 10%, but in fact, it's lower. So 7% plus 1% legal fees or whatever it kind of adds up to about 9.5%, but just to make it easier, we say 10%. Now, for an off-plan or new property, that's slightly different. There is no transfer tax. What we have is VAT, which is at a rate of 10%. And then on top of that, you have stamp duty at 1.2%, which has been reduced from 1.5%. And then again, on top of that, you've got legal fees, land registry, and so on. So obviously, you have to add another 4.2% to the buying cost on top of there's a difference of 4.2%, let's say. But people look at new developments and look at the quality, the sustainability, and all that kind of thing, and say, look, we prefer to go with new. So
Brilliant. No, thank you, Sharon. It's good to get that clarity. And I think, the fees involved when buying property are something that must be budgeted for and at least be made aware of, because some of them, they can add up, and obviously budgets can be relatively tight. So thank you, Sharon, for that. I suppose in regards to, hopefully, when most of the viewers here find their dream property with you, they put an offer down, that's been accepted. What's the typical sort of timescale from that offer being made, accepted, to actually completing, getting the keys to their new property?
It depends wildly on the type of property you're buying, and also depends whether you have a mortgage or not, because there's a process to go through in terms of mortgage, even when you have it all in place. By law, Christina, I think it's 10 days that there has to be a sort of cooling off period, I guess. That's important. If you're buying cash, let's say you sort out your finance elsewhere and you have the money to go ahead. Normally, on a property that doesn't have any legal issues, then it can be as quickly as you can arrange with the vendor, or we arrange with the vendor. So it's normally reservation. 2 weeks later, we normally do private purchase contract where the buyers pay 10% minus the reservation fee they've already paid. And then a date is agreed for completion, again, as I say, depending on whether the clients need a mortgage or not. However, if it's a property, let's say in the country, and it has certain issues, maybe the pool hasn't been registered, maybe I just literally sold a house for 1.3 million and the house was never registered on the plot. Wow. And neither was the pool, of course. So we needed, it's totally legal. There was nothing illegal about it. It just needed going through the process. So we needed that time to do that. So it just took slightly longer, but that's all happened, and it's fine. So that it can be handed over completely registered and so on. That tends to be, as I say, with larger properties, apartments and so on, as long as they've got all it can be a matter, I would say, let's say between 4 and 8 weeks for a property for buyers that don't need a mortgage.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, so it's relatively quick then. If you don't need a mortgage, can turn around relatively quick. Okay, that's brilliant. And just one last question, Shane, before we pass across to Christina. I know we've spoken about viewing trips already. How does that work? Do our listeners sort of organise the car rentals themselves, accommodation, or can they do that through you? What sort of the process if they were to come across the viewing trips?
I think in all the years I've been doing this and people talk to me about viewing trips and so on, there's two types of people. One that want everything done for them, and another type that just want to do everything themselves and don't. I think the fear is that they're going to be put under a lot of pressure to buy if they go. And I agree. A company that subsidizes and so on, obviously they have to recoup that money. We don't subsidize as such. We do give a little something for buying with us on a viewing trip, but it's it's a thank you, let's say. But what we will help with is everything. If you need car hire, if you need a hotel, if you need help with flights, whatever. Obviously, we will do that for you, of course. But I think it's a fine line between completely taking over and expecting, you know, and having that pressure on you to buy. Whereas we will help you organize everything, but we're here, keep saying, for the long term, to be there for clients as and when they're ready, and to find the right property. We have to do our job. We have to find the right property.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I think you know, it's a big thing to buy a property, and it does take time, and it shouldn't be rushed. So you know, when you say you're there for the long run, you know, I can completely understand that can take a while. Or sometimes, hopefully, will happen quite quickly. It just depends on the client, and also the properties and what's out there. But Sharon, thank you very much. We'll now move across to Christina. So we've got a few questions here that have come across before this session, and as I mentioned, anyone listening in, please drop your questions in the Q&A tab, and we will put them towards the experts. Christina, yeah, so one of the questions I have here, we'll start off with one of the, I suppose, the pitfalls about buying in Spain. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people actually do make or can make when purchasing property in Spain?
Yeah, so depends of the timing. I mean, so basically, if they start just searching the property, so basically the big mistake that I think that the clients are doing is just to go ahead directly without any estate agent, or obviously without any lawyer, because it's really important to have all the documents, as Shirin said before, everything prepared, because obviously if you are trying to pay a deposit in a property but you don't have the NIE numbers, and also you will need a mortgage that you don't have any clue regarding any bank, so obviously it will be a huge problem, because you will lose your money. So it's really important to be able to have the big picture of what is the situation right now in Spain, to know what exactly you will need, what will be your expectations, or I don't know, where would you like to buy in Spain. So for me, the big mistake is just to go ahead with everything and having nothing. So I recommend you to start from the beginning, to just plan when you would like to move, or if you're not relocating, so basically just choose the area before, because obviously, as you said, the taxes could be so different in Spain. Not all the areas are exactly the same. So if you are planning to buy a property in the middle of nowhere, obviously maybe the property has not any license to build in the pool, or maybe just renovate the building itself. So it's really important to know what you would like to buy, where, when, and obviously have all the information before go ahead.
Perfect. Thanks, Christina. Yeah, I think it echoes kind of what Sharon was saying as well, is speaking early, understanding exactly what the buying process is. You know, a lot of our listeners here are probably buying in Spain for the first time. It is a foreign country with different laws, different languages. So it's important that they at least are prepared to know what needs to be done in preparation for coming across and viewing trips, and hopefully putting down offers. I know you mentioned their NIE numbers, your bank accounts, and initially you said that, you know, about the whole legalities about buying properties in Spain you can assist with, Christina. So if you were to start speaking to a buyer today who isn't looking for another 6 months to purchase, what would that conversation look like? Would you be talking about setting up bank accounts and NIE numbers?
Yeah, so basically the first step I understand that will be to have the NIE numbers, or NIE numbers. So sorry. So basically it can be done in the consulate, the Spanish consulate, in the place where they living right now, or even in Spain. Obviously we can do it in their behalf, but we will need a power of attorney. Power of attorney obviously can be signed in the UK and also in Spain, and obviously allow us to act in behalf of the client. So basically we can provide the client with NIE numbers, but if they already have that number, because I don't know, they live so many years ago in Spain, it's the same number, so they can use that one. Also, we will just introduce the client to some banks in Spain. So obviously we have lots of them, exactly the same in the UK. So basically we will try to inform to the client which one will be best for them, because it's not the same if they just want to current account in Spain, or maybe, I don't know, they have a business in Spain, or they have another intention. So obviously the bank could be different in its clients. So obviously we can help with that too. Obviously with the power of attorney, we can open the bank account in their behalf also, and obviously set up all the direct debits that they could have afterwards with a property or with another stuff that they could have in Spain. for me, these are the main things that they have to have in mind. Also, obviously, if they're thinking to buy with a property, normally if they, they will like with a mortgage, they will need normally, I mean, the mortgage normally wants that you have the current account and everything in the same bank. So it's really important to know these kind of details beforehand if you're planning to buy with a mortgage, to choose the correct bank. So this could be the first conversation that we will have with the clients. Also regarding the area. So if they don't know where exactly to start to do the searches and everything, as Sirin says right now, Andalusia is the tax more efficient area right now, but obviously if they are planning, I don't know, they prefer the north area, we can basically inform regarding the taxes and obviously all that kind of details if they would like to do an investment in a property, where will be best, and obviously if they are planning to, I don't know, to rent the property, or if it will be just for the holidays and everything. So this kind of conversation must be done before the searches, because obviously it will be helpful for them.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Thank you, Christina. And I suppose in regards to that initial conversation with yourself or maybe a colleague at JLCA, how does that happen? Do I sort of book a free consultation with you, and then I kind of go through my unique requirements? What does it look like from that initial contact?
Yeah, so depends. If it's just to clarify some details, we can have a chat by telephone. It's not a problem. But if they would like a study of the situation, or obviously more information regarding the proper buying a property in Spain, we charge a small fee. So obviously, if they want this kind of details, I can send an email to them with all the fees and everything. But normally, I'm not sure enough to be fair, because I'm not part of the accounts team. But I think it's just £50 or something like that, the 1 hour consultation.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. No, that's good to know. And I think, it's worthwhile to have that consultation call to discuss everyone's requirements, which will differ on there. But we just got a question through, Christina, while we're here talking around visa residency 90-day rule. So Oliver's asked if buying Menorca and abiding by the 90-day rule, does travel to the mainland Spain count as travel, or are all the Spanish countries the same as the ruling? So would it differ for them if they were to go from the islands across to Spain with the 90-day rule?
Yeah, so basically it's exactly the same. So Spain as a territory is the whole territory, not just the peninsula, also the island. So basically, if they are planning to stay 90 days in Spain, obviously it doesn't matter if they are in the island or they are, I don't know, in Madrid, in the middle of the peninsula. So it's really important to know if they don't want to be resident, or just to have in mind that they only have the 90 days rule in Spain. So it doesn't matter the area that they would like to stay, will be counting. Also, if they are planning to stay in other parts of the Schengen area. So it's really important to have this conversation before with a lawyer, because sometimes if they would like, I don't know, to apply with a golden visa or a non-lucrative visa, if they are not doing this kind of things well, could be a problem. And if they are planning to buy a property, but they cannot enter in Spain because they did it wrong with the visas permit, will be a problem. So it's really important just to coordinate these two main points that obviously are the visas and the purchase stuff.
Sure. Thank you. And yeah, thanks, Oliver, for your question. Thanks, Christina. Just while we're on the topic of visas, then I understand there's been some talk recently around golden visas. Do you mind just clarifying, are golden visas still able to be applied for? Are they being discontinued? What's actually happened with golden visas?
So golden visa, is going to disappear. We don't have the due date yet, but obviously it will be imminent. So I recommend that if the clients are planning to, to apply for the golden visa because they already bought a property or they are thinking to buy a property, it is really important to do it as soon as possible, but because we understand that, the golden visa will disappear at the beginning of 2025. So maybe we only have 3 months. So it's really important to go ahead right now, because these kind of visas will be disappearing. Obviously, we have other kind of visa that could be the non-lucrative visa or the nomad visa, but obviously you must be resident, tax resident in Spain with this kind of visas. With the golden visa, you don't need to be resident. So it's really important to know the difference between them, because if they would like to buy a property, have the right to stay more than 90 days, but they don't want to become resident, is the time to do it right now, because we never know if maybe tomorrow the golden visa disappear.
Sure. And we've actually got a question from Steph that's come in about golden visas. Do you think it will be replaced with something similar? Do you think there'll be something else that will take that golden visa?
To be fair, we don't know, because it's something super political thing. So obviously we don't know. Maybe yes, but I don't think that will be in a few months or in a few years. So maybe in the future, if the political situation changes in Spain. But at this moment, I don't believe that they replace the golden visa for another one, because obviously it doesn't make sense if they're basically removing one to put another with the same details.
Yeah. Okay, great. No, thank you, Christina. Thank you, Steph, for your question. Christina, we've got one question here as well around NIE numbers, which you mentioned. The question is, as a married couple, is there any need to get 2 NIE numbers, or would it just be one for buying a property or for a long-term rental? Would you need to get 1 or 2 NIE numbers?
So basically, if they would like to buy the property together, I mean, in the name of both, they must need 2 different numbers. I mean, they will have to apply for the 2 numbers. If the property will be just in name of her or obviously of his, obviously it's not necessary to have both, but I always recommend to have the NIE numbers for the whole family, because if you are planning to stay in Spain or applying in Spain, I mean, it takes 5 minutes to do it in the consulate, so obviously it will be better if they have both. But obviously it will depend if they are buying the property together or don't.
Sure. Thank you, IJ, for your question as well. In regards to finding the right property, I know here in the UK, it is advised that people get an external survey done of the property they're purchasing to make sure everything's okay. Is that normal in Spain? Is that part of the process as well that you'd recommend?
I mean, it is normal. I mean, you cannot do it, but you can do it. I mean, depends of the kind of property you are thinking to buy. If you are planning, I don't know, to buy a property in a small town in the middle of nowhere, obviously I always recommend to proceed with the survey, because you don't know what you can expect. But if you are buying a property that normally is okay in the middle of Malaga, obviously you don't need it, but it will depend. But anyway, I always recommend not do the survey, but obviously do all the checks with the land registry, the catastro, and everything, yeah, to make sure that everything is, I don't know the word in English, so sorry, habitable, I think.
Yeah.
and you can stay and do all the renovations that you like to do. That is super important. But the survey, I always recommend just to that kind of properties that are too cheap or something. There are something like this.
Okay.
There.
Yeah, I think think about investing or buying a property in Spain. It's a substantial amount of money, and it probably is wise to have a survey on certain properties, definitely over there. So yeah, that makes complete sense. Just while we're there as well, if a client or someone listening in was looking to buy a property in Spain and perhaps do some renovations or conversion, can you advise on the likelihood of being able to get planning permission on that property? Is that something you can help with?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Could you assist in getting planning permission for a renovation or
yes.
conversion?
Yes. So sorry. Yes. So we can, I mean, basically we can deal with everything through the power of attorney. So we can help with this kind of processes, but always we can coordinate everything with the estate agent. So basically yes, I mean, the answer is yes, we can help, obviously.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, we've got a question here actually around rentals from Alex. This might be Sharon, one for you as well, that you might be able to help answer it. So if Alex is buying a property to rent out, could you recommend on good areas, and could you advise on the taxes and permits and licenses that would be involved?
Yes. I so sorry.
No, I didn't know who wanted to
yeah. So basically, I mean, yes, we can coordinate, but as what I was saying, obviously, we know right now the areas that will be better from a legal side, but I understand that here saying can help us with. I mean, right now for all that clients that we recommend that Malaga is the place to be for the investors, but obviously Sharon will confirm this kind of details. But that may.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very important question, and it's very important legally as well, Christina. I think you'd agree in that some urbanizations, let's say if you were to buy an apartment in an urbanization or in a complex, the community have decided not to allow short-term rentals. So this is some information that's very important for us to give you as agents. And we do have that information on most, when we go into investigating further. So it's an easy bit of information to find. However, let's say in terms of areas, it's always very important to buy somewhere that has good facilities nearby for, let's say, if you want to, maximize your investment. The Costa del Sol in general has the best weather on the mainland, so therefore that's a big attraction. But obviously, the other thing that we have are well over 100 golf courses of a very good quality. So we have a big winter season, because the golfers come in winter, they don't come in summer. It's too hot for them to play. So as long as you're close to a town, close to a golf course, you can have that winter rental as well, because golfers love to stay on golf courses. But they like to go out of an evening to eat and drink and so on. So that's very important as well. But I think if you want the biggest bang for your buck in terms of rental return, the Costa del Sol in general is a fantastic place to buy, because we have such a strong winter season. So the summer's guaranteed anyway, but our Christmas is huge. Easter is even bigger than Christmas. So it's but the weather that we have, and obviously Northern Europeans now are now incentivized to come south because of the cost of heating and so on in their own countries. So again, we've got that advantage, plus the fact that Malaga is the third busiest airport in the whole of Spain. So that after Barcelona and Madrid, and therefore cheap flights and frequent flights through winter. It's very, very important. You're not going to get stuck because there's no flights in winter from Leeds, Bradford, let's say. You're going to get flights in, cheap flights all year round, but also you're not going to turn up and your favorite restaurant's closed because it's not the season. We just don't have that dead season on the Costa del Sol. So, we can advise where to buy. Yeah, of course, Malaga City is a great place to buy, but it's also super expensive compared to the rest of the coast. So we have to find, working with your budget and with your requirements, we will put you in the best possible place to get the best returns. And we also work with rental agencies to give you the information as well. But yeah, it's very important to buy in the right urbanizations as well, because you have to be allowed to do that short-term rental.
Sure.
I have
You
to
need
add
a
something.
tourist license as well, which Christina will.
Yeah, so basically I would like to add that. So basically we have to have in mind all the town hall new regulation, because obviously as Barcelona did some time ago, I mean, all the tourist regulation and everything, and be really hard for all that investors that would like to rent the property, because not all that areas right now in all the cities the town hall is allowing to the landlord to do the short-term rent. So obviously it's really important to know these kind of regulations if they are planning to do it in the future, because if you are planning to buy, I don't know, in Madrid, in the Trafalgar area that right now is wow, amazing, maybe in a few years will be impossible to rent a property there for short term. So it's really important to know this kind of information too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you both. I think having that, going back to local knowledge here and there, being able to advise on those potential returns and where is a good place to invest and for different reasons is so essential. If that's what the purpose of the purchase is, then yeah, that having that knowledge is invaluable. And then of course for yourself, Christina, to have the insight into tax permits, tax for locations and things like that, again, is really important, and the legal side of renting out properties. So thank you for adding the clarity on that. We'll move across now to Danny. So Danny, thanks for joining as well. I have a few questions that have come through already from some of the audience members, talking around currency exchange and currency risk. Could you give us a bit of an insight into the pound euro at the moment as we're talking about Spain? What's affecting it, and is it in a good position at the time being for hopefully people purchasing over in Spain?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, of course, everything's affecting it. Exchange rates moving every second of every day, but yeah, in a very strong position currently. In the pretty much the top range of rates we've seen since April 2022. So yeah, great time for sterling buyers. In terms of what affects the exchange rate, as I mentioned, pretty much everything. I mean, they're affected by a multitude of direct and indirect economic and political factors. You've got market sentiment also playing a huge role, of course, which in and of itself is highly unpredictable. I mean, just over the last 18 months, we've had a lot of political changes in the UK, of course. Had elections, I got the budget coming up next month, so who knows how that's going to move the markets. Of course, we've had inflation levels being very high, now starting to come down, of course. You look at 2022, for example, we had about a 14% difference between the highest and lowest rates. So when you're buying a property overseas for however many euros you're buying, these swings in the rate can have a big impact on your ultimate sterling cost for the property. So that's really what we're here to try and help with.
Danny, yeah, so it's great to hear the position that the euro is in, sorry, the sterling euro is in at the moment for our listeners, because it will have a considerable impact in their affordability, but also the cost of purchasing over there in Spain. I suppose on that topic, what is your role within the buying process here? We advise our buyers, our listeners, to speak to currency exchange specialists as early as possible. What is the benefit of speaking to yourself or a member of the team early within the process?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the benefits of speaking to us earlier is simply that you can start getting the right information on board from the earliest point possible. You'll get yourself signed up with an account manager here who can help you, set that budget and manage it to the best of their ability. Make sure that you know exactly what's happening with the markets. Make sure that you're not exposed to any risk when the time comes. The main thing really, is just as you said, make sure you get in touch as early as possible. You can get a free non-committal account set up with us, and then, as I say, be assigned to an account manager who can help you in the process. The main thing is to make sure you've got that currency plan agreed when you start to go on viewing trips and whatnot. And then if you do get back from a viewing trip and find you've had an offer accepted, it's simply as easy as contacting your account manager, have a call with them. They can then execute that currency plan, and again, make sure that your risk is being managed at all points of the process, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So it kind of ties into what Shirin, Christina, and yourself are saying around speaking early, understanding the buying process, understanding what needs to be done before going across and putting down offers, to make sure that you are limiting the currency risk that you're exposed to, and protecting yourself from it when you do find the right property.
Yeah,
brilliant. And
absolutely.
I suppose in regards to the actual buying process, once I do find that right property, what are the different transfer options that would be available to myself if I was buying in Spain?
Yes, I mean, you have a couple of different options available to you on that. Option A is, of course, you can just simply do your transfers as and when, on what we would call a spot transfer. So you could just do this when you find the property, and then another spot transfer for your balance when the time comes. So that you just really call us up, 5-10 minutes on the phone to get an exchange booked in, and we can turn it over in 24 hours for you if needed. But of course, there's going to be a bit of a risk attached to the transaction, as you just don't know where the currency rate is going to move between offer acceptance and completion. So it's a bit of a gamble in that sense of the word. Mm-hmm. Your other option, which is probably the more popular option for my clients, is to forward purchase your currency. So this is generally something that my clients would book, in and around the point of offer accepted, when you've got an agreed price in euros. But of course, your price in pounds is going to be constantly fluctuating based on where the exchange rate's moving. So a forward purchase basically allows you to remove this risk. We can forward buy your euros off the market for you, thereby locking in the exchange rate and giving you, a guaranteed price to work towards in sterling and in euros, which can just, totally remove that gamble aspect, remove the uncertainty of not knowing what the property is going to cost you in pounds. It allows you to focus on the other aspects of purchasing the property, like dealing with, obviously lawyers and estate agents and the counterparty. All of that takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. So having that forward rate agreed can just remove that stress and uncertainty of where the exchange rate is going to go. But for those who don't mind that sort of gamble aspect, we can still help you with the with the spot transfers and maybe even potential orders if needed. Or you can set sort of a target rate above potentially what's actually available at the moment, and sort of try and gamble and hope that it gets up there. But again, with that option, you've got to be sort of aware that the risks that you're taking on when you do that, you know, the markets can be very unforgiving sometimes of how much they can move in a very short space of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you've got someone like Liz Truss who can drop a bit of a bombshell, and
Yeah,
the currency markets
absolutely.
can be quite responsive to those sort of
Yeah.
changes. So yeah, absolutely. You never know what's around the corner. No one's got a crystal ball. That's why it's important to speak to yourself and prepare for what could happen and navigate that risk. Let's say I find a property, I then we're looking to book in a forward contract, or either on the day take a bit of a risk and wait until and see what it's like on the day. From my understanding, Danny, that means I wouldn't necessarily get the rate that I see on Google. Is that correct? Would I get the rate that I see on Google, or how does that compare to what you offer me?
Yeah, that's correct. So the exchange rates you see, you know, on Google or in the news or the newspaper or whatever it may be, are essentially the rates that you know, large institutional banks making multi-billion or trillion-dollar trades transact at. So unfortunately, you know, the exchange rates you and I receive are going to be different. The rate you and I receive as a retail, you know, consumer is going to be lower than the rate you see in the newspapers or on Google. Using a service, you know, like ours, it will be a lot more competitive than you get through, say, a bank or post office or anything like that. But there will still be, you know, a slight differential between the interbank rate you can see online and the rate that you'll actually be offered, you know, when you purchase your currency. So it is something to be aware of, because you don't really want to be calculating your sort of budgets on that rate that you see on Google, because it's simply not going to be something that's achievable.
Okay, that's good to know. And once I've booked in the exchange, where do those euros, which I'll be transferring into, where do those euros get deposited? Would I need a bank account perhaps set up by Christina and the team at JLCA, or would I need to send it to the solicitor or vendor or to the stage? And where do those funds typically always get deposited once the exchange is taking place?
In terms of where do we send them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally it would be to the solicitor's account, who would be dealing with, you know, the deeds and whatnot. So normally we're sending the euros straight to the solicitor's account. So they would provide you with their account details when you're either doing deposit payments or doing the balance payment. And then you can simply fill those in on sort of the receipt we send through when we book a transaction, or on your online portal with us. So you just need to let us know basically where the euros are going to. We can send them straight to the lister, to the estate account, to your own account if needed. It's ultimately up to you, of course, to say to us where you want your purchased euros to be sent to. But yeah, in my experience, you know, about sort of 89% of the time we send those straight to the solicitor's account for the you know, for the various deposit payments, and then the larger balance payment, it goes straight in there.
Okay, brilliant. So you could obviously speak with Christina and say, with these funds are coming across for this property purchase, and send them to a third party bank account.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. I suppose a big question within this, which some of the audience may have, is how do people know their funds are safe and secure with yourself, Daniel, with smart currency? How are their funds protected within that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're highly regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. I can promise you they're you know, they're no joke with their regulations. So we have to, you know, abide by them essentially, and we have client safeguarding accounts that are held with tier 1 banks, been operating for 20 years. So the funds are, you know, completely separate from our business capital essentially. So that means that, you know, as a client of ours, your funds always remain fully ring fenced and insured, as a result of, you know, the fact we are fully authorized by the Financial Conduct Authority. You can actually, if you get emails from your account manager, you can check out our FCA number on all of our email signatures, as well as our sort of, you know, company's house number if anyone ever wants to, you know, check out financials and whatnot. Obviously that's all public knowledge, so it's always worth doing your you know, due diligence around these things, of course.
Mm-hmm. Great. No, that's good. And it's that peace of mind to know that I'm sure people's you know, by property sale here in the UK or pensions or whatever it may be are safe and secure throughout their transfer from A to B across to Spain. And yeah, as you said, the FCA is no joke when it comes down to those regulations.
Definitely.
Okay, brilliant. I suppose going back to mistakes? I don't want to scare people off buying in Spain, Danny, but what do you normally see is some of the typical mistakes people make with currency when buying properties in Spain?
I'd probably say leaving it to the last minute. So, thinking that you can just sort of, oh, we'll just transfer the money, when we need to do it kind of thing. And then, you could be sort of calculating your budgets, think, right, yeah, this is currently costing us X amount in pounds. And then you kind of leave it till the day of completion. And then, you check the rate that morning or whatever, and you find out, oh, it's dropped 3-4% or whatever overnight, or in space of a couple of days, and you find that actually now I've got to fork out an extra 10, 15, 20,000 pounds, whatever it may be, as a result of that. Some people can afford that. Other people, I've spoken to people in the past where they've actually said that they didn't really think about that, and they've actually lost the property because they couldn't find that 10, 15, extra 20,000 pounds. So it's almost a case of why would you take that risk, or why would you neglect such an important part of the process and think that you can leave it to the last minute? Probably the main thing people say to us is oh, it's too early to speak about currency. Well, in actual fact, I would argue it never really is too early to start at least thinking about it and getting it clear in your head as to what you're going to do when the time comes. No one's saying you're going to do your exchange months and months in advance. Of course not. Some people might like to do that, but ultimately you want to have the right people on board and the right sort of thought process in that process to make sure that you don't have that really horrible surprise when the time comes to actually make that very large payment that you have to do to buy a property overseas.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. So I don't want to scare anyone off, but it's good that they're aware of the pitfalls to then navigate and to eliminate them for their property plans. We've got a couple more questions here, so please do keep them coming. We've got a few minutes left within this session. So I've got a question here, probably a difficult one for you, Danny, to answer at the moment. As an example, could you give what the current rate for sterling euro would be? I know you probably a few variables within there which you need to know in order to give an accurate quote, but have you got some examples of potentially what it could be today?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's normally there's a few different things that can affect the rate, but as a general sort of rule, I mean, obviously markets are closed over the weekend, but yesterday when we were working, we were in the 119s on most transactions. So that gives you a good gauge, as I mentioned at the top of my piece of this webinar. Some of the strongest levels we're seeing for 2.5 years at the moment, or over 2.5 years. So it's very, very strong time to be buying euros for sure.
Good to hear. Joanna's just asked on that note, how do fees for Danny's company work? So how did the listeners, how are they paying for the smart currency service?
So basically, there's no sort of set fee per transaction. As I mentioned, we don't charge any fees like a high street bank might. How we make money is purely in the buying and selling of currency. So what they'll basically be on any day you actually book a transaction with us, there'll be a margin or a spread in the exchange rate from, as I mentioned, the market rate you can see online and the rate we offer you on the day. So it's in the difference between where we buy and sell the currency at is where we actually how we're able to keep the lights on as a business. We're able to buy very close to that market rate you see online, because we've obviously been around 20 years now. We do about 4 or 5 billion pounds each year with Barclays. So we're able to, because we buy currency wholesale, we can buy it very close to that market rate you see online. And then, as I mentioned, there'll be a differential in that exchange rate from what we're able to offer you on the day. But there's no other fees at all. At any point in the process, it is purely on any exchange you make with us. There will be that that spread in the rate, and that's as I say, that's how we keep the lights on basically.
Brilliant. So you just to clarify, so it'll be built within the rate of exchange. There's not sort of any hidden costs involved or anything like that. That'll be
correct. Yeah. And that's always it's always offered to you either on the phone or on our portals or anything like that. So it's ultimately your decision if you're happy with the rate you're being offered, and it's always net to you. So as I say, you quote on the phone. There's nothing else that comes off of it. It's net to you when it's offered on the phone.
Brilliant. And as just for, I suppose, Sharon as well and Christina, Sharon, with yourself, I know you mentioned you see when the sale goes through from the vendor, that's where you get the fee. So with the audience listening and the buyers, would there be any fee from them to you before they come across at all, or would it all come from the vendor? Sure, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right.
Makes a change. No. Our fees, are definitely paid on the other side by the vendor. There are no upfront fees whatsoever to pay. I just can't think of anything that we would charge for in advance. No.
Good to know. So yeah, even more incentive to get chatting to you and the team ASAP to hear how you can help. And Christina, just finally for you as well, I know again it varies on how you're helping, what services you're offering. Is that kind of discussed in that first consultation call with you and then kind of proposed quite transparently to the buyer?
Yeah, of course. So basically, it's too hard to say now a fee because obviously I don't know the situation of each client. But obviously, if they would like to call me on Monday or even this afternoon, I could. I mean, I could do provide all the details regarding our fees in each different product. So obviously, we will be more than happy to do this. I mean, to provide with this kind of details if the client tell us what exactly they need.
Sure. Okay, great. Then I think it's just useful to know, and I know people perhaps are a little bit hesitant to get in touch with a lawyer or perhaps a foreign exchange expert or Sharon as an estate agent because they think, oh, they're going to have to pay these fees and all these sort of different costs are going to be involved when really it isn't necessarily the case. And there is a real emphasis to speak to people early, which hopefully the listeners have understood that there's not going to be sort of hidden costs involved in that. So thank you very much for answering those questions. And yeah, thank you to all of the listeners. We've got through, I think, all the questions. Actually, one last question just come in for Christina. Do you still need to do quarterly tax returns on rental income over in Spain?
Yeah, I mean, depends of the situation of the client. So obviously, it will depend if they are resident or not in Spain. So these kind of details, obviously, I don't know which one is just asking that, but I will be right now with the team, so maybe they can pop in or I don't know, ignore table. I don't know how to say, and we can discuss further because obviously will depend. All the tax matters will depend of the situation of each client. So obviously.
Sure.
The answer is yes, but will depend, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Every client has unique plan. Every one of you listening in has unique plans, and having a conversation one-on-one to understand those unique plans is really important. And that's across the board with all of our experts here. I think I can say.
I mean, I don't want to talk about taxes because obviously depends in too many things. So obviously, I prefer to have the chat with the client directly.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And everyone listening in, please feel free to go across to JLCA's booth, the Spanish Estate Agents booth, or Danny's Smart Currencies booth within the Spain exhibition hall. You'll be able to see some documents, you'll be able to interact and ask questions on a one-to-one basis with them, and also book consultation calls on their virtual booth as well. So please do go across there. All of your requirements will be unique and different, and have that conversation. But yeah, thank you to everyone listening in. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you to our lovely experts. Sharon's got a hand up, so I'm going to pass over.
Just wanted to say very, very quickly, just to start things off, we've got a really, really good buyer's guide that we can happily send out to anybody that wants to contact me. So that's all I want to say. Yeah,
a great resource. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, so yeah, do pop over to that Spanish Estate Agent booth to download that guide. But yeah, thank you to the experts. You guys have been great as always. Say some really good comprehensive answers, helping for the listeners to understand the buying process. Thank you for your time on this Saturday afternoon. It's great to have you here with us. And yeah, everyone listening in, thank you for joining us. You will be able to watch this on demand. And best of luck with all of your house hunting. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening in.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.